We got to move to the next thing because we're on a limited amount of time. We're trying to knock out as much stuff as we can during that limited amount of time, all right? So if it's your time to speak, I'm going to say go, and then I may stop you to move on. That's the disclaimer. If you don't like it, take it over book. All right. All right, he used to play in the NFL, so. All right, so listen, today, obviously, this is Clippers and Cops. We got some people of the law enforcement here. We got people of the community here. This one is an open conversation about things and hot topics that are going on. Can't talk about any open cases, but we can talk about the sense around anything that's happened, right? Including some hot topics like the thing in the park or some of the people that have been recently locked up as a public figures. Can't talk about specifics, but we can talk about policy, procedure, and common sense. And that's kind of what it is. And then this is really for you guys, us as civilians, I'm not the police, to talk to people in law enforcement and really get a sense of mind of where they come from, you know, where they stand on and things of that nature, and get to know the police in your area that are here to protect and serve. So without further, you know, we're gonna get started. We got this box right here. That's to complain. I'm just playing. This box is for questions. You may have a question we don't ask, something we may need to address on our social media page later, and put it up there for everybody to see, because that's what it's for. It's a community. This community does not stop after this event. It keeps going and keep rolling. All right. This is also a contact. Yeah, business cards, stuff like that. We share that. We say, hey, check out this business. This is that and third. So, where's the road? That's what we doing. All right, so that's basically it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Everybody was probably commenting on this on their Facebook and IG pages and TikTok. Let's talk about that park incident. Do's and don'ts. We can go over what happened. If you saw something that you didn't like, because initially I saw the snippet and jumped to a conclusion, which I shouldn't have, because I've been coming to these for like 3 years now, right? And I ran out there, I jumped in the street, didn't look both ways first. It happens. So we're going to talk about that. So if you're not familiar with the situation, a young lady and her friend, I don't know what was going on with that, they were in the park after hours. The officer came and said, hey, you got to go, after seeing the full video in its entirety. The officer said, hey, you got to go, you're breaking the law. She said, I didn't know I couldn't be here. I know this. The ignorance does not mean you cannot do something because I didn't know. Because I cannot know I can't rob a bank. But you know what I'm saying? Until I do it, it's an issue. So, all right, I thought it was half off on Mondays. But that's what happened. The officer asked her to leave. She didn't want to do it. And he said, well, sign the ticket. I'm going to give you a citation. The gentleman signed his. She was like, no, I don't want to sign it. She repeatedly asked for his badge number. She looked a little tipsy to me, too. That's just another thing. It's just, you know. But, long story short, he tried to arrest her. Right? That's the word.
Correct.
He tried to arrest her, and everybody on the internet went crazy. It was like, oh, he ain't got to do all that. Now, there was some other things in there that I didn't agree with from his end, and some things from her end I didn't agree with, but it's not about me. It's about y'all. If you saw the video, heard about it, and were triggered in any way, let's talk about it right now. Anybody that saw the video, were they triggered?
Miami said he ready.
He ready.
Oh, let's get it, bro. Let me step back so I can see everybody.
So my question is, why is there a law that you can't be in a park at that time?
I got you now. Because there's a reason that you can't be in the park after hours, because all type of mischief happens around after certain hours. But a park is usually for the community, kids playing and stuff like that. Once the sun goes down, technically, we know what can go down in the park. Drug use, violence, prostitution, different stuff like that. So it's a city ordinance on why you can't be in the park. Atlanta police didn't come up with this. The city came up with this. And as a police officer, we don't make the rules, we enforce them. And unfortunately, it could have been handled totally different, but at the same time, he's doing his job. You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? If a girl walked through that park and was sexually assaulted, the public would have asked, why isn't the police doing something about the people hanging in the park? You got me? Just because it's your turn to get dealt with by the police, it ain't time. It's all about compliance. When I watched that video, all of that could have been avoided. It was very simple. At the end of the day, you signing a ticket is not an admission of guilt. That's basically, you're posting bond, so that's saying, I'm going to come to court. The moment that you say that you're not, I learned this on my first day. The moment that you say you're not signing that ticket, you're basically saying, I'm not coming to court. And at that point, we got to go handle that right then and now. Most people in the public don't know that. And I think he was going to explain that, but she kept doing this, poking. And after a while, it was like, as an officer, once I put my hand on you and say you going to jail, it ain't time to yank away. It ain't time because at that point you're escalating the arrest. And at that point, me as the officer, I got to do whatever I have to do to take you into custody. Now, that's the part that sparked everybody.
Let me say one thing because I don't want you to start. Carter, you said poking. For the general public looking in, I think I know what you mean. But they may be watching on the internet.
Right.
I don't know. What do you mean poking? He was poking.
I think that she was trying to deflect and agitate him in a way that made him finally say, I ain't doing this. And I think it was already made up in his mind, I'm doing this. He couldn't, if he would have let her go and then she left and complained, he would have been in trouble because the initial, once he put his hands on her, it's no coming back from that. Okay. I can't undo that. And he basically now has to take her into custody.
Okay. Let me just put some context for those who are online and guys in here. So, you hear people say all the time where the officer should have been on the street patrolling and there's criminals on the street. I see you shaking your head and whatnot. So to add a little context to it, so before this incident and during this same time, in and around the city, we had an increase in crimes at the parks, and so being in the parks, showing a heavy presence in the parks at all hours of the day is part of the summer initiative. Anyway, for the police department, for the city. So I wasn't what's the word? Surprised, to see the officer over there doing his job. I know a lot of people keep wondering why, but that's why. We had an increase in a lot of crime going on, and not just at night, not just during the day, it's throughout all hours of the day. And so that's part of our summer initiative, to be in these parks, to show a presence, to make people feel like, okay, it's okay to go to the park during the day. If I want to go after hours, not after hours when the park is closed, but say when it gets dark, to run or walk or whatnot, at least I know, okay, police are going to be hanging around in and around the park, and just to make people feel safe. So that's just to add a little context to why he was there and not, as people say, should have been on the street patrolling and not in the park.
My perspective, I'm not a certified law enforcement officer. I do come from a law enforcement background, being former probation, former corrections, but I'm the founder and director of the Greg Street Academy. I'm coming from a teaching perspective. We work with youth, and we looked at that as a moment to teach. We got to some kind of get to our community, the black community, and teach them specifically that the first words that come out of your mouth when you get stopped by an officer can determine the outcome of that situation. All right, whether it be you go to jail or whether you end up getting dead. Okay, your goal should be to get home, not to try that officer right there for what taking place. We got to teach that to our community because we're so hungry to get equal and be treated like them. That's cool, and I'm with that we should be treated fairly. But you need to get home first. And that's what we need to teach our children, because what that situation showed to some young folk is, if you show out, how far they gonna take it? And how far that officer ain't gonna let you take it that far. And kids, I just think we got to, what we're doing is, we're taking it upon, we call it mentoring in the park. We team up with local jurisdictions, and we teach these kids what to do actively if you get stopped in the car. They need to be taught that. They need to be taught what to do if an officer comes to your home, what to do if an officer, if you pull up on some kids, black kids especially at the park, first thing they gonna do is run. They gonna take out running, dog.
Even if they're not doing
Even if they ain't doing that, they gonna run.
When we go to the schools,
I used to.
we went to South Atlanta, and we asked the class, we said, what do you do if you stop by the police? And the whole class said, run. And from a police standpoint, you gotta understand, I don't know you. I don't know nothing about you, right? And when I see you running, for whatever reason I stopped you, I might chase you.
That's right.
You're risking yourself getting hurt, you're risking me blowing my ankle out, all type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then your adrenaline is pumping. I don't know if you got a weapon or nothing. I don't know you, remember? And usually it's over something petty, a bag of weed. Like, come on, dog. That's nothing. That's a misdemeanor dang near now.
It's a ticket in some places.
But we not talking law. We got, and it's not just young kids, it's adults also. Cops need to be taught how to conduct themselves when they stop by an officer.
All right, we got another question.
No, I'm just what he's saying. But what he's saying, the point is, it's a disconnection from the neighborhood and the police department.
Sir.
That's why we're
And the
here.
disconnection is reaching out to them too early. I mean, too late.
Yes, sir.
Going to the high school, it's too late. You gotta catch these kids while they're in elementary.
That's
Like
what
when I
it
grew
is.
up,
When
we had Officer Pringle. We had Officer Pringle. So we knew who the police was in our neighborhood. We knew exactly. So it's like we know you the police, but you know who we are too, because we don't see you at our elementary school, and that's where the disconnection come from.
Right.
There's no connection with the elementary kids, school kids growing up with police officers in their neighborhood.
Right.
Like even when I used to do wrong, but man, sometimes we see the police pull up on them, man, hey man, take your ass home. Instead of just jumping out chasing them, take your ass home. Next time you see you out there, he on your ass. And that's how it should be. The police supposed to be like a parent to when the kid outside. Instead of just always with them, sometimes you gotta tell them go on. Then next time I catch you out here, I ain't playing with you no more. And that's where the disconnection come from. You gotta reach them while they look before they get big.
So we do something, we've been doing this since March 1st of 2018. We've been coming to barbershops once a month, every month, Zoom through COVID. We noticed just what you just said, the demographic that, as you can see, truly need to be here, ain't here. So since they're not coming to us, we start going to them, which is what's called Clippers and Cops Campus Invasion. We started going to South Atlanta. In May, we went to 7 Fulton County schools, including Peaks Academy, and to have exactly what you're saying. We want them to, you can't prepare for the game on the day of the game. So we talk to them about decision making, goal setting, do's and don'ts on traffic stops, the company you keep, rap music, prison. We tell kids don't go to prison, but what does that truly look like? You know what I'm saying? My cousin them there, they make it seem like it's the shit. You know what I'm saying? Somebody got to be able to sit them down and show them, because for me, I work games. It's too late once you get to my desk. I'm gonna do you, show you my playbook in an effort to tell you and show you, don't play with me like that. Don't jump off the porch. You don't want this. You know what I'm saying? And when we walk in, they like, oh, 12, y'all trying to make us snitches. After 2 hours, they hugging us, when y'all coming back? I promise you. And when the one kid said it, he said, y'all talk to us, y'all didn't talk at us. And the fact that y'all here let us know that y'all care. So that goes exactly what you said. Go ahead.
Let me say something real quickly. I just called Ty last week. I just went to visit. I'm a former juvenile probation officer with Fulton County. I went to go visit Fulton County Jail. And as I walked immediately, that's my first time ever going inside the jail. As I walked in, they took us over to the side that was doing a lot of the shanking, but they were 17 to 20-year-olds. When I immediately walked in, the little boy said, Mr. Green! I was like, oh, Lord. It's one of the kids I know. He saw me and he dropped his head. He was shamed. Listen to me, y'all. I've been knowing that little boy since he was 14. When he first came under my supervision. Fulton kind of tapped him on the hand the first time he ran away from home. What juvenile court did for him, they didn't do nothing to him. Next time he stole a car. Came back to court, tapped on the hand again. They ain't do nothing to him. He's 15. Next time, he went and broke in somebody's house and stole a pistol. Tapped on the hand again. Next time he got shot, I had to go see him at Grady. Tapped on the hand again. Hadn't seen him. I got fired. He got older. I tell you about that a long time. Some of y'all probably heard about me here 5. That's neither here nor there. Let me explain to you how this hurt me. He hugged me. He was in there for murder, but he's not a killer. The system set him up from the time he was 14. They tapped him on the hand. He got used to getting away with stuff, y'all. You hear me? And he told me, he said, Mr. Briggs, he said, when we broke in that house, that man started shooting, and I just shot back. I didn't mean to kill him. I said, baby, this ain't Grand Theft Auto, shot.
Right. It ain't no reset button.
I said, you can't run that one back. And he was in there, he was hurt. He had to go back and be hard like he, but I could see he was hurt. I went to another cell and saw 2 other little boys that I've been knowing. I used to be the in-school suspension instructor at Price Middle School. What he just said, if we don't get them before they stop smiling for their school picture. Y'all see that little boy over there? He still smiling. He still smiling for his school picture. Y'all he don't care if he ain't got no hair. He gonna smile for his school picture. That moment when he stops is when we better get him. You hear me? Because them gangs get them. That's when they get them. But we wait till he get to be 15 down there at juvenile court, and then it's too late, man.
But I think that, and that's a great point you're making. I think that's why it's a community effort. It's not just the police, it's not just the parents, it's not just the people that they're looking up to. You know, it's got a lot to do with everything and everybody that's a part of this situation. Because like you said, we here, they not, right? We going to the schools, and we speaking to them, and using art, okay, that's cool. But then after that, what's gonna happen? We need the parents, we need the barbershop owners, we need the barber. You know, y'all talk to them, y'all better do it. So it's the same thing. It's like the stuff that we share here today needs to be shared across the board for everybody. And I think that's the only way we're really gonna be able to create change, because you gonna hear something that you may not have known, right? And then you can share it with somebody. You know, you cut them over there, you trying to school them, keep them from making mistakes you did. I gotta do the same thing. You know what I mean? Keep sharing these instances, sharing it on our social media, sharing it across the board, because that's the only way we're going to make a change. Because it's not going to happen without that.
I think in reference to what the brother said right here about the police being the parents, yes and no. So we hear this all the time, but we also push back, or at least I try to push back and say it's not all on just the people in the streets. To do the right thing. You know, police, we got to always continue to do the right thing. And so what we have to start doing, and I think we do it within the Atlanta Police Department, is start meeting the young people and just people in general in at a neutral time, and not in an uncomfortable position where they're faced with us because, I don't know, either we damn pulled them over or we went to their house on a call. But we got to get out the car or roll the window down, whatever it takes, and you got to speak to people. You got to meet people. You got to get to know them. And so then when you see that kid's going to respect you and say, oh, that's Officer so-and-so. Okay, all right, I'm going on, man. I'm going on. I'm getting out of here. Oh, boy, I'm going to go tell your mom. So we gotta encounter them in situations other than in a police-related situation. You know, kind of meet them halfway, and hopefully, you know, some of this pushes or rubs off on the parents, because it ain't all the police, and we can't do it all by ourselves. It's just not gonna happen.
Can I piggyback on what the guy in the red cap said? He said we gotta get them when they're in elementary school. Well, most of us, we got by our mamas and daddies.
Whole neighborhood.
Nowadays, if you get a kid nowadays, and you're trying to discipline your kid, what's that kid gonna say to you?
You ain't my mama, my dad.
Right.
What do kids say to you? They say, oh, down 911.
Yeah.
So who's teaching these kids to tell their parents,
So sorry.
that I'm gonna down 911 if you hit me? If I had said that back in my day, if I was in called murder brothers.
But see, that's when it goes back to my man right here was talking about everybody, you know, the kids, young people being tapped on the hand. So then when they're faced with the police, law enforcement who are telling them now, holding them accountable, then there's that pushback, there's that fight. I don't have to do this, I don't have to do that. In the case, I hate to use the female as an example, but it's an example of, this is what you're supposed to do. You got to sign this ticket. Well, shit, I ain't doing that. Why do I have to sign the ticket? Because nobody is holding them accountable at a young age. So when we encounter them, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, so it's an immediate pushback.
You know, social media is one of the most dangerous things in the world right now to that generation that we speak. Because on social media, if I see Deputy Doss here, he might be defending himself or may have to make an arrest on somebody. But what I see on social media is Deputy Doss beating some kid or fighting with some kids, and social media becomes
Bad.
bad.
But that's why we do this, to try to speak and show a different perspective. If we as police or law enforcement sit back and say nothing, we allow that to control the narrative. If with this situation that we keep talking about, I always use the scenario, if I walked up to anybody in here right now and spit in your face, I should expect that somebody gonna fire on me back. If somebody start recording on you firing on me back, who's at fault? So that's what it's like being a cop. A lot of times you're getting the tail end of an hour-long standoff, and then you get the last 2 minutes, and then, oh no, they shouldn't have did that. And you like, wait a minute, you ain't see that what happened earlier. Well, you trained, I'm still human. At the end of the day, I'm still a human being.
But we don't have a forum to put our side of the story out.
Right? That's why you're here.
That's why it's important for us. That's why it's important for us as law enforcement to, when we see situations like that, we have to speak up. We have to let people know that, basically what you're looking at is a clickbait video. You know what I'm saying? It's basically a snippet of a long situation where if you just be patient, you won't have to retract your word. You won't have to retract your storyline. You won't have to say I was wrong, because you waited until the facts came out. And that's why, us that have been involved in situations like that, we always tell people when we see these things, just be patient. I know that's hard when the media is pumping this story, based on that small snippet of maybe an hour-long interaction. It's hard. It's hard to not jump to a conclusion. But we find ourselves, and this is part of the reason why it was created, we find ourselves in the middle. We're the ones that's being reached out to constantly by our friends and family. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And the more people we educate on just being patient until all of the information come out, the better we'll be.
At the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong.
Right. And
if the officer wrong, he's wrong. But at the same time, if the person is wrong, that's got to be stated too. And usually with these situations, after it's proven that it's wrong, it just be like, oh well, they ain't showing me all that.
And that's another thing that I found out from this last incident is that a lot of people that take these defund the police, anti-police stances, they're not willing to say, oh, okay, well, we saw the whole video, yeah, she was wrong. Right. So you have to be cognizant of the fact that everything on the internet ain't good for you. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to use your own brain to determine when somebody is trying to lead you down the wrong path. Because I'll just go into what I wanted to talk about. I follow somebody on social media. I'm sure y'all heard of her, Tamika Mowry, right? Everybody knows she's big time defund the police. She can't stand us. But I look at her as an opportunist, because even after the full video came out, she has hundreds of thousands of followers. She's still telling people, even though it's the law, people, sign the citation and you go home. What happened with the mail? He signed the citation. He was free to go, right? Because she doesn't agree with Georgia law, because she doesn't agree with the city ordinance about something being posted, you can't be in the park after certain hours, she's still telling people that follow her and probably take her word as verbatim, I wouldn't have signed the ticket. You are setting us up to be put in a situation where it can go completely left.
It might be something where you had to be slammed and handcuffs put on you, or it might be something where you end up getting killed. And you be like, well, Tamika Mallory said, yeah, I wouldn't have signed it either. But guess what? She ain't gonna take no accountability for that. None of them are. None of them are gonna take accountability for setting y'all up to be crash dummies. So you have to be smart. When the law is the law, follow it. Don't follow these people out here that has an agenda of basically everything they're about is anti-police, anti-law. They're turning us into crash
crime
dummies.
up in every city.
Exactly, it's terrible.
Right. And
It's terrible.
That concept of defunding the police, defund the police, I think they've taken the definition of it
and diluted.
and diluted it.
Right.
Because defunding the police, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it was my understanding when the term defund the police came up, it was not to do away with the police department.
Right.
It was to say, hey, we need to maybe retrain some people.
Reallocate. And they wanted some of the resources reallocated to stuff like mental health, different stuff like that. But at the same time, I don't even cut you off. At the same time, like I tell people, are you more afraid, in your everyday life, ask yourself, are you more afraid of the police or somebody that look like you?
Right.
Because when I go to the gas station, I don't see the police. I'm worried about the little joker standing next to the gas station that's plotting on me.
I actually go to the gas station where the police at. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Exactly. Because, why though? Why? You go to the where the police because you feel safe. But
Like it's a less
we as
chance
people
of
got to figure out exactly what we want. All right. We want police to be fair and honest is what I take from it.
Right.
But at the same time, when an officer is involved in something, we have to show support for him too, because he's doing what you asked him to do. He addressing the person at the gas station that's making you uncomfortable pumping gas. And the officer ain't scared of pumping the gas because he probably got a pistol on him. You see what I'm saying? So when he addressed these people, how is he wrong? If he clearing the block off, how is he wrong?
I would say this, and not to get too far off subject because we gotta get to the next thing, but this is a great topic because we're talking about interactions which need to be had. We also gotta talk about common sense. We gotta do our duty as people that come to these types of situations and understand how life works in real life. And when you see something like that, like the young lady you spoke about, I'm not familiar with her. It's probably related to somebody I addressed on the internet, got cursed out. But at the same time, I would say that when you see something that's wrong, use your own small platform, a big platform, a medium platform to address it. So like, for example, in that situation, I don't know if it was her, but somebody put the officer's information online. Personal information.
They talking about y'all need to hide.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I saw that too.
I saw it. I came across it. And being the person I am, which I probably shouldn't be all the time, I addressed her privately and I said, hey, what you did was illegal and it could be looked at as a threat. And you should take that down because if something happens to that guy, the first person they're gonna be looking at is you. And I'm just trying to tell, I say I don't agree with the aggressiveness he had, but she didn't follow the rules. All that being said, if I was you, I would look at taking it down. So she told me every single MF and I'm the police and told me basically that I was the problem because I was justifying his activity. And I said, once again, ma'am, I said I don't agree with him being aggressive like that with the female, but I'm not an officer and I don't see everything that happened. But I will say this, you should not put his personal information because that makes you at fault if something happens to him.
So to piggyback on right on that topic right there. I think all of us can agree that sometimes police encounters with citizens aren't pretty, right? We can all agree to that fact, right? So what we wanted to ask you guys as citizens, do you guys think that we receive separate gender-based training on how to handle male and females? Anybody? Any citizen that's in here? Do y'all think we get trained different on how to handle a male versus a female?
No.
Anybody?
Can a female hurt a male?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Has any of y'all ever seen?
Hey, I done called the police before she did.
I'm like,
Have any of y'all ever seen or heard about a situation where a male officer may have tried to handle a female with little kid gloves and got busted upside the head?
Yep.
I did that.
Okay? That's part of training. when you see videos of how people die, when you see videos of how people get their ass kicked, when you see videos of mistakes made by officers, that's how we're trained. They make it live that way because sometimes they don't resonate. When you just sitting up there speaking to somebody, sometimes you gotta click that video. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So that female that you trying to, ma'am, and she turn around and bust you in your head.
So your natural instinct is to defend yourself.
But you gotta understand, and then at that point, it's always gonna be from the public, he ain't have to do all that. That's a female. That's gonna be the first narrative that comes out. But it's never gonna be take her and put her in front of the mirror and make her look at her actions, make her look at what she did. It's never gonna be that. It's always gonna be a situation where we as males didn't have to do that. And that's something that needs to change because handling people with little kid gloves can get you killed out here. Because everybody, well, I don't know everybody, but a lot of people, probably more than it wasn't before this new law came out, are carrying guns. You just saw a situation, I don't know what department it was, where the lady got an AK somehow in the back seat and started shooting from the back of the patrol car.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I seen
Man,
that.
that's crazy.
And
Because you don't want to put the cuffs on too tight. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a woman. So you don't want to put them on and she just slide her wrist right out. Because it's a woman.
I was looking at that.
Handcuffs are not built for comfort. They're not.
But nah, you right. Within these situations, especially like the video we saw, let's bring it back to the tickets. I'm gonna make sure that's real clear for everybody, and then people on watching socially, right? I get in a situation where I'm asked to sign the ticket, right? I know you said it earlier. I just want to repeat. What happened? Carter pulled me over. Carter stopped me. I'm in the park. Hey man, you gotta get out the park. All right. And then you say, here's your ticket for being in here, right? I need to sign that ticket.
Yes.
Do I have the right not to sign it? And if I do have the right not to sign it, what happens? What is my next move?
Get 'em.
So
You can't say that.
hold on. She's got a question. Go ahead.
I guess my question is, I've been stopped at the same question, but they said you don't have to sign it. I've been told by officers, you don't have to sign the ticket, so they make it seem as though it's an option.
Yeah, I've
That's
heard
the thing,
that.
like, don't tell me it's an option.
Well, I can't speak for any other police agency. Officers have what is known discretion. Whether or not they want to issue you on some, not all charges, some charges, there has to be a physical arrest, but then there are those where, okay, I can issue you a ticket to come to court or a physical. So on that ticket, it says you're signing in lieu of bail, which means it's on the ticket, which means, okay, your signature, again, doesn't mean that you're admitting guilt, but in lieu of bail, which means, okay, instead of you going to jail to post bond, this just says your signature, you plan to come to court. It's just the guarantee it's supposed to be.
Promissory note.
So to speak. It's your, promise, hey, I'm gonna show up. Now, it doesn't always happen. But and I can't speak on why that was said to you. But the other part, if Reese then says, well, for whatever reason, I don't think I did anything wrong, I'm not signing the ticket.
Okay.
So then at that point, what should happen, that officer should be explaining to him, well, sir, it's not an admission of guilt. However, if you don't sign, I'm gonna have to take you to jail. I'm still not signing, blah, blah, just going through all of this. And then once you ask him, okay, I need you to step out the car. You get him out the car, and before he puts the handcuff, he says, all right, man, let me go ahead and sign it. Well, at that point, again, it goes back to the officer's discretion. He can go, all right, look, man, we ain't have to go through all that. Or he can say, I've been dealing with this. We've been going around in circles for 30 minutes on this. We could have had this taken care of. No, you're going to jail. So you can't be mad at the officer for giving you the opportunity, all right, to go home, to go ahead and drive away. So then once they said, pull those cuffs out, all right, you gotta go to jail. Now, it's an issue. And it's kind of the situation with the female now. So some people say, well, she said that, you know, now she will sign the ticket. Okay, that's all good and well, but I don't know how long the officer was dealing with it.
Once he put his hand on her, she yanked away.
But he doesn't have,
that's when it was a
I
wrap.
mean, it's that officer's discretion.
You got a
I don't think
question?
they should ever bring that up. I don't think there should ever be an option where you tell somebody, well, you don't have to sign.
Well, again, I don't know what department that shouldn't happen.
Say what you said.
Yeah.
You said he from Michigan.
Michigan, they don't need sign tickets. You just get a ticket and go to court.
So that's what,
And some people may be used to the way the law is from wherever they're from.
Yeah, that's true.
but you have to understand it's not where you're from.
Get my ticket. Get my ticket.
Aaron George,
No problem. What you got in there? Hope you don't make it. Hope you don't see me in court. I don't want you in court. Skip that day. Have a family
Some
vacation.
things just ain't worth fighting for, man. Like, why is
Hey, that's it. Wait. I want everybody to make sure they hear what you just said.
Some things just ain't worth fighting for. Like, why is you gonna fight to put your name on a piece of paper?
Right, I
You
feel
can
you.
go put your case in court.
I
If
think-
it wasn't that bad.
I agree.
Because you
But
know
I
why
think
they
that
fight?
people.
and you still went to jail. And you still
same
saying.
charge,
All right.
plus more.
Agreed.
Why those things, why are those people making those decisions to act that way comes down to
Media,
that
social media.
emotional intelligence. Being able to make those healthy decisions that you teach at a young age is not
That's
just model. So I don't have the communication skills to even tell you, I'm fearful, I'm afraid. In Michigan, they don't sign. I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to give you my ass to kiss at this moment, thinking that I'm going to, because you work for me as a police officer, my tax dollars pay you, I get to tell you what to do. But I can't think through how to manage my own behavior. Those are skills that have to be taught.
I just hate.
We agree. I think we agree.
But where
Where do you learn those skills? Because from my understanding, when it comes to a male officer and a female, you know, I don't know how y'all put it, citizen. The female, you know, you would have to call a female to arrest that woman.
No.
No, that's the
Search.
search.
To
That's the
search.
search. Just the
And
search.
if there's no
You can't-
female available, you have to turn your hand
Back of the hand.
to where it ain't no grabbing and stuff.
No bread.
And then there will be
Right.
a more intrusive search by a female officer in a correctional facility.
What he said though was, where do you learn this?
I think.
Yeah, that's what they, where do you
That's
learn
part of
it?
the problem.
Let me address this. We need to have, that's what I was saying,
Yeah.
we need to have these situations where that can be taught at an early age, because some of you were saying, if you don't know how to react, when I was young, I'm an old man. When I was young, my dad had taught me how to deal with the police from being down there in Troup County, Georgia. At an early age, he told me, look here, boy, the police get behind you, it's yes sir, no sir, put your hand where they can see him. I was taught that when I was his age. We don't do that no more.
But a lot of parents do this when they're his age.
The police ain't right.
If you don't do right, I'm gonna get that police man to get you.
And you turn them off.
And that, what it does is create the boogeyman, I call it the boogeyman syndrome. So that young man then grows up, and then he becomes a driver, and then he never dealt with the police, but he remember what mama said when he was that little, and then when he see the blue lights, he say, oh snap, here come the boogeyman. And he runs out of fear of not knowing. So that's why as adults, don't tell your child. I was at IHOP one time, and a lady was disciplining her kid, and she saw us eating, and she brought the kid to the table and said, see, you better act right, I'm gonna get that police. I said, young man, we don't lock up kids, we lock up adults. Because that could be a life or death situation for that young man. Don't tell your kids that.
Thank you.
And I would just say that the majority of the people that act that way, it's not even specific to policing. It's just people that don't believe in accountability for their actions, period.
Man,
I'm saying,
Police is a scapegoat. You don't ever want to look in the mirror.
when I was
People
watching
just don't want to look in the mirror and see that they're at fault for what they put themselves into.
Bro, when I
That's
was
period.
watching
That's our community.
Gotta start there
Right,
anyway.
but when I was watching that video, I was like, oh, I hate the day hoe. Boy, that was cool.
Yeah, that one thing I said the same thing.
don't
I
get
said, bro, I
nervous
see what
dating.
type of woman that is. Hey,
I've been walking
don't
like-
lie. Hey, when I seen, I said, I see what type of girl that is. I said, homeboy gonna do it. I said, homeboy gonna do it, boy.
I'm like,
That wasn't no date.
You ain't getting back reported on.
Hey, bro, you gonna be quiet. That's how they made him paper. I was told her. He was scared of her. I was scared of her.
Come on, now, that was not a date. That was a
That's why you signed the ticket. He didn't want to do. He's like, I'm gonna go ahead and
I
sign
told my
it. Now
best
you got me on him right now.
You trying to argue with him?
Out of all people.
Shoot, I ain't arguing with him.
Why you taking it?
Bro, I'm still ain't gonna argue with him, bro.
I don't
Man, hey,
phone.
bro, I'm telling you, I can be in the wrong. I can tell you the whole truth, and most time they let you go.
That's it.
You go out the truth, bro.
That's the
I've
narrative.
been called no license, none of that. Me too. Tell the truth.
Nah, you can't tell that.
I know, bro. No,
Hey, scratch that from the record. Never mind.
I have been pulled over by the police and said, bro, I'm not even finna make you work, bro. I'm gonna give you my ID, bro. I'm just trying to go home. I said, I ain't got no warrants. I just ain't paid, took care of what I gotta take care of. Homeboy, go to the car, run my license. Run my ID. I'm like, bro, you ain't got no warrant for real. Thank you for being truthful.
Go that
Even
way. I'll go that
smoking
way.
weed. Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro.
Hey, bro, that wasn't you.
Hey, he's on duty.
Take care of my kids. That's why I'm in this car.
Let's refocus.
But no, I
brought
had
something
something
up. You brought
that I
something up we
told
need
you
to
to
address.
tell the truth, right?
You brought something up we need to address because I watched the video.
I was like,
The
no,
gentleman,
no.
I don't know what state he's from, but the cop actually recognized him like, oh, I seen your video, right? So he was trying to show, okay, I actually did really get pulled over in real life and got my hands up, but he did say, I'm a licensed to carry and my gun is on my hip. Now, I want to know if you just in a regular
Yes.
traffic stop, just regular traffic. Hey, you get pulled over. You know why I pulled you over? No, officer, I don't. Your tail light out. Whatever the case is, they say, right? Not a warrant related situation. Do I need to just straight disclose this information or what?
I say yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because when you're reaching down to get your license and I see it, it may alert me. But no, because you have rights. When people tell me that, I've had people say, hey, sir, I just want to tell you I have a gun in the car. I tell them, as long as you don't reach for yours, I won't reach for mine.
That makes sense. Okay,
Now I
I have a
ask you,
question.
can I get out the car?
Wait. I have
I
to.
don't even want to be close.
It's a
to my
series
gun.
of questions.
All I want is, look, bro. All I want is, you see this, bro?
Wait, we need to hear this.
Look, though.
Hilarious, bro.
Right.
You see this phone?
Yeah.
If this is a gun, he can't hold it if I can see his hand. So like I tell people, put your hands where I can see it.
window.
As long as I can see them, I ain't got nothing to worry about.
More to answer on this question, because we do this, and people need to know this. You just said something, and now I'm alerting you I have a gun in the car, so now you on alert whether you want to be or not, because as a regular person, if I'm walking, and this is what like the Wild West now, every time I see somebody with a gun, I be like, all right,
I'm looking at hips before I even look at face.
just look, hey, look. Just as a regular human being, if I see somebody with a firearm, I'm like, make sure I can get to mine in case it go bad, right? So I know I'm pretty sure the officers kind of thinking the same thing. Now, if you do have a gun in the car, and I know I'll get pulled over, should I just already have my license in my hand? Do y'all take that as disrespect or what?
No. So on average, how long do you think it takes between the time we get blue lights behind you to the time we actually get to your window?
Oh, it feel like 30 minutes.
That's even
Well, y'all be taking y'all time. Like, somebody come home,
being that it takes quote unquote 30 minutes, why is it so hard to get in your wallet, get in your purse, put your hands out the window with your license and your insurance in your hand?
Because we don't want to be sarcastic.
Hold on. We're talking about a situation where if you're a legal gun owner and you have a gun on your hip or you have a gun in your car, you don't have to reach for anything.
Right.
It's a simple conversation. Being sarcastic, no. Listen, officer, I'm doing this for my safety and yours. I have spoken to police officers previously, and this is what they told me to do.
So
I want you to be.
Do you think you just de-escalated the situation on both ends by just saying those few words?
No, I think it's alerted.
It does.
I think,
Yeah, it does.
think, and I'm just going from personal experience, once again, not the police, get pulled over a lot. I'm just being serious.
What you be doing?
Everything.
On these videos.
I'm not even breaking the law, so I don't be nervous when I get pulled over, right? You know, I always call you, like, hey, bro, run my license real quick.
If you get
I need no number, man.
I'm trying to tell you facts of life right now.
Hey, I do the same thing.
finish the story.
Alright, get pulled over. I always have my license in between my fingers and pull my hands out the window. They don't have to ask no questions. As soon as they come to the car, they go, sir, do you know why I pulled you over? No, officer, my license is right here in my hand. I'm not trying to be funny. I just don't want to see, I don't want you to see me reach. And they go, oh, it's no problem. They take my license and go about their business and do their thing. Second part of that situation, if I call him when he was the police, because he's not the police, I'm right front.
Right.
When he was the police, if I say, hey, bro, I just got pulled over, man. You can run my lights real quick so I can see what's going on.
And he says what?
He says, if I'm running, come back bad, I gotta lock you up.
There you go.
Wait.
There you
Let
go.
me tell you why. Now,
There
let
you
me tell
go.
you why I respect it. Because let's say I got a warrant. And let's say he ran my license. And let's say I accidentally hit somebody and kill him. They gonna be like, man, his license just got ran. He ain't do nothing. Now they looking at him crazy. I can't if this is truly a friend, I can't risk his freedom over mine, and I'm doing wrong. Because if I got a warrant, most likely I did something wrong.
So there's a record.
But
You would hope most
if you
people
put
think
this
like
number
you.
in your phone,
Go ahead. Keep going.
404-657-9300. You can call that number, put your driver's license in, and tell you got a warrant.
Repeat it.
I tell you the record.
What that number is?
Repeat that one more time, Reese.
404-657-9300. You call that number, put your license in, and tell you have a warrant or not. I check it once a month.
What you guys doing, man?
I'm gonna tell you why. Because I went to court before. I paid my ticket.
Oh, and they didn't take it.
They did not file it correctly. Now I have a warrant. Luckily, I kept the ticket in my car. I get pulled over. Hey, officer, he takes it. He comes back. He 2 pants on the roof. I know I'm going to jail.
Like a tow truck.
He said, can you step on now from the buddy? I said, I sure can, but can you let me know why? He said, you got a warrant in this county. I said, officer, I'm going to get out and come do whatever you got to do. If you get a chance, please look at my glove box. You will see the ticket that I have a warrant for. It's been paid. And I keep it in my car because I knew, I just had a feeling it was going to go bad. He did. He looked at it. He called back. And he said, I think you tell the truth. We're going to ride down here, though.
You going anyway?
I'm not going to ride down here.
They want fingerprint
Now,
double
this is what we talk about when it comes down to accountability and common sense. I know I'm in the right, but common sense is telling me he got a gun and handcuffs. There's no way I'm fighting this on the street. I went to him, got in the car, they took me to jail. As soon as I got in there and they did whatever they did, they came right back and said, I'm sorry, you was absolutely right. And they let me right back out. Luckily it was the daytime and wasn't on the weekend. All right, but all that to say is use your common sense, everybody.
So in a situation like that, how is that convenient for somebody that's like yourself? That
It's totally inconvenient. But it's totally inconvenient to be pulled over and arrested. But I'm alive here to tell
I
you.
might have been on the way to work.
Are you gonna die for inconvenience? That's a simple question.
Lose your job. I lost
Because
mine.
But that's the
That's
question.
right.
You know,
well, see, and that's the thing. We have to understand that our attitudes and the way we act towards the police sometimes will contribute to that situation escalating. You know what I'm saying? We know we're not pulling you over and gonna make your day. We know that.
That's,
You know what I'm saying?
Wait.
But
Before we get
is
further,
it worth going there?
You know, I just wanted to say, you know, I'm always the both sides. I've been doing this almost 30 years. So
very good.
for me, we have to be just as calm and in the mood of deconflicting some of these, just like we tell the people, and we always say that. So for everybody who's looking, you guys who are here, this is nothing new. We say this all the time. It's just as much our responsibility to kind of bring the situation down. But a lot of times we all know energy meets energy. And when negative energy is on either side, then you're gonna have negative energy. Right. You know, force on force, everything's gonna rise up. So if they're up here, then we who've been trained in conflict resolution, you know, that's something that we teach at the training academy. We gotta be able to bring the situation down. At least make the attempt. And I think what helps us and covers the officers that are doing it is, and we tell people all the time, yeah, you're trying to fight the situation on the street, but just understand, the officer has a body camera. He's recording the situation, or at least they should be. They should be recording the situation. So anything that you think is wrong, said or done, you make the complaint, they look at the video, and it's either gonna prove or disprove what you're saying. But at the end of the day, that's how you fight that. So the energy is gonna meet energy, but it's just as much on us in police to bring the situation down. And so I always like to throw that in there because people would always say, "Why does it gotta always be on us? What the hell? What the police gonna do? Why don't they do this or that or act nice or whatnot?" So. Yeah.
I would say I take that approach too. The same approach I take to the internet, I try to take to interaction with people and the police. So people say wild stuff on the internet, right? Maybe just
Internet courage.
right, internet courage, right? So if I say something, and I feel like it's normal, regular, and if somebody say something combative, crazy, right? I just say stay blessed. There's nothing else for me to say because I know you probably just want to argue, and I'm not going to allow you to take me there because at the end of the day, like, you can't control my feelings, right? So it's the same thing with police. Like, even if you get an officer that's not like y'all, because obviously y'all ain't the problem, right? Sometimes we run across officers that aren't really cordial, right? Right. I've been slammed before and all that, right? I've been very I got a bad drive that shit, Ty.
Boy, I ain't never been slammed, boy. I ain't never been slammed. I ain't know it now.
Like, I'm not gonna fight the police, bro. Like, that's just not me. Now, I'm not gonna let somebody just take me out. But I'm saying I'm not gonna fight. So I'm like, all right, if you feel like you gotta do all that. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, sometimes there's gonna be officers that aren't trained like y'all or aren't taking that same respect to people, right, the citizens. So then we gotta be like, okay, I'm not gonna escalate it because I've never seen that go good. I've never seen an escalation where the police go good, ever. Have y'all? No. Nobody, right? But why do it? We shouldn't. Let's spread that information too while we out here. Hey, escalating and fighting them is not gonna go your way.
Not your way at all.
Go there and here. I think. All right.
I think it's back to what we were talking about the young man now. Even though he's a lot older, it comes to education. We got to teach. He don't know.
Yeah.
He asking that. It's too late to ask them questions when you be getting pulled over.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we need to start going, we need to have programs in the elementary school where these young men can be taught what to do with their mama in a situation if the police pull them over.
You
feel me?
Right.
You feel me? They need to be having situations where it don't need to be on paper. It need to be where they can see it and they can experience what to do. What to do if the police comes to their door.
Right.
You know, what to do if the police stop you on the park. They don't need to, how old are you, young man? 30, they don't need to be 35 years old trying to figure it out. Right. When you get pulled over. That's too late because every common sense ain't common no more. I hate to say that, but it's not. And I'm gonna say this again. Your first words spoken out of your mouth when you get pulled over by an officer, can determine the outcome.